Hey everybody, I'm John at Collect Cards. It is Friday, June 23rd, 2023. We're about 5 weeks away, even a little less than that, from the National. Getting excited about it as it, well, even more as it draws nearer. Um, Hoping to meet a lot of you there in Chicago if you're going there. And in the meantime, here today, I'm doing a video that I've been meaning to do for quite a while, actually. And I'm finally getting around to it. Um, it's as you maybe could tell from the three cards on the table here. It pertains to the 1960s. What I'm going to do is just offer my, one collector's take on Topps' 1960s sets, and basically which ones are the best. It's not my favorite, and it's not what I think are the most valuable. It's what I think are the best.
The best, Jerry. The best.
And so what I mean by that is sort of two rankings I did for each year. And I didn't do Fleer 1963, by the way. I don't know I just don't know enough about it. I mean, I know about it, but it's also not very large. I think it's only about 60 cards or 60 some cards. So, so I did not include that in this ranking, although there are some really nice ones in that set that I probably need to look into getting a couple of those someday. But we did the top sets here from 1960 to 69, and what I took into account are one, rookie cards, which would be obvious, and two, design, which is also obvious. But for rookie cards, I kind of like considered the player's importance to the game, also, but also to the hobby, which I think are two different things, and I think most of us would agree to that. Some rookies are, probably have a greater legacy in the game, but maybe not quite as great of a legacy or impact in the hobby today, which, maybe that's unfortunate, but, could be a matter of the market they played in or the position they played, whatever. But so I've kind of tried to factor those in. And then for the design category, I kind of extended it and called it design/appeal. Sort of like, overall creativity, but just then, what is sort of the general take on the design over time. I just sort of try to, in my mind, take a pulse, sort of step back and take a pulse of what basically the kind of hobby, where certain sets fall, in terms of hobby lore and where they rate, and just basically folks' general feelings about them over time. But it's mainly a design thing. But so those are the two categories I looked at, where I tried to like do a little point ranking for them. I did rank them 1 to 10, 10 points for first, 1 point for 10th, etc. But real quick, before I dive into it, I'm going to go year by year, starting with 1960. But I want to just talk a moment about these three cards. These two right here were recent LCS pickups. 1961 Robin Roberts, 1968 Fergie Jenkins. I literally got the Fergie for $2. It's this 30-year card. Has pretty nice eye appeal, even if it is off center right. The main issue with the card on the back is it's got a pretty nice corner to wear there on the bottom, and even a little mini fold. But for $2, I'll take this all day long. It's a pretty cool shot of a still really young looking Fergie Jenkins, and he's doing just fine in his retirement days. So really cool card there. I really like picking that up for $2. And then this one, I can't remember. I either got this for all of $5 or all of $7. I want to say maybe it was $7, but these two cards for $9 any day. Especially, this is in a pretty nice shape. I mean, it's off center, both right and bottom, but the corners are pretty nice on this. Gosh, if the centering was a little bit better on it, I actually think about getting it graded, even if this is one of those examples of a player who just doesn't have the hobby lore probably as much as he should. Guy's a great Hall of Fame pitcher who pitched in the golden age of cardboard, so to speak. So really nice one. Have that one. And then this last one here is this 1963 Elston Howard. My good friend Tim picked this up at a show. I guess he had thought of me and sent it to me, which is super nice. So thanks Tim again for the for sending this to me. I really love having it. It's from his AL MVP year, 1963. He and I went to a show earlier this year, a few months ago, where I picked up a 1956 Topps Howard. So that was probably what he was thinking about maybe when he picked it up. But just a really cool card to have in the collection. So thanks again, Tim, for that. Love that. But now I'm going to, without further ado, jump into my take on what are each set from the 60s ranks. So, and I'll make a note in the, if you already clicked to this video or this part of the video from the timestamp I put in the description, then that's great because I took almost 5.5 minutes to get to the actual ranking. But here we go. 1960. I'm just going to show a couple of examples of each year and then just sort of describe where I put them. And I'll try to go through it pretty quickly. I'm not going to wax on too much about it. But so 1960, most known for its Carly Yastrzemski, Willie McCovey, and Jim Cott rookies. Where I put I just have these two examples of a teammate of McCovey's, Felipe Alou, and Hall of Famer Luis Aparicio. I put this for rookie cards fourth best among the 10. And for design appeal, I put it sixth best. So 7 points for rookies and 5 for design, gave it 12 points overall. I'm not going to do a running point tally of each one. I'll just do the places of where I had them. And then at the end, I'll sort of go from 10th to 1st in terms of where I had them ranked. I don't do graphics on my site. I just record and talk and post. And so if you can do your best following along, that would be great. But you'll just have to trust me on the ranking. Although I will share my little notes here at the end of the video. But anyway, I had I had the 4th for rookies and 6th for design. It's just something about some people really like 1960. I think the thing about it for me, I mean, it's certainly unique and the creativity is there. The color backgrounds are kind of cool, and I like that they use the logo and the 2 shots, but it's the lettering of the name. That has always been a stumbling point for me on this set, where it's just the alternate colors. It's just sometimes for some of the cards, I find it really like not hard to read, but distracting or something. It's just there's something about the multicolored names that has just always thrown me for a loop on that set. So that's why I didn't rank any higher. I mean, here's 1961. We got a second year Willie McCovey here and an Al Kaline as some examples. The key rookies in 61 are Juan Marichal, Billy Williams, and Ron Santo. For rookie cards, I rated it 5th best, so just behind 1960. And for design appeal, I ranked it 4th. I have a little thing for the 61 set. I think it's underrated. From time to time when I talk about card designs, I tend to gravitate more toward the not simple designs, but the more slightly more understated, but with still like nice creative touches. So in this case, I like the various colors they use. But then there's lots of room for the portrait or for the card photograph, which I always kind of liked about 61 and still do. I didn't take any, I took some slabbed examples out for various sets, but I did not in this case for 61, but I thought I'd show these 2 examples. But again, I had it 5th for rookies, 4th for design. And this McCovey, actually, it's second year McCovey. It's in pretty nice shape. Bought this a while ago when I got back in, back into the hobby in 2020. I got this in 2020 for a really good price of maybe I think out the door I got it for less than 20 bucks. Maybe 14, 15 bucks before tax and shipping. I'm pretty sure I got it for less than 20 out the door. And the only thing wrong with it really, other than being a little off center left, and I think a lot of these are off center left from what I've seen, it's got a little bit of a scratch right over here, right by his face or mouth. You could sort of see. That's the main blemish of this card. Still might get it graded though. I've thought about it, and I might actually do it at some point. So maybe possibly even my next submission, whenever that happens, probably in the fall. Moving on, and we'll try to. My goal is to keep this under 20 minutes, so we're gonna try to pick it up. 1962. I have a couple of examples here. I've got Gaylord Perry is one of the main rookies of the set, along with, of course, Lou Brock. And Joe Torre's rookie card is in 62, I believe, as well. So those are all Hall of Fame rookies. And a couple of other examples here. I got former Giant first baseman and then more known as a Cardinal first baseman, Bill White. Yankee pitcher Ralph Terry. So I rate the 62 set. And some, everybody's got their kind of like sets that they really love, and some that are really, that don't do it for them. And I'm trying, like, for this, I tried to be objective, but like I tried to balance it all out, I guess. That's why I'm using the term best and not favorite. But for this one, I rated the rookie class for this 8th, actually. 8th out of the 10. And for design, I actually rated it 9th. I'll talk more about the design. The 62 design just doesn't do it for me. Some people really like it. The reason I didn't rate it 10th is because I will give it a point for the creativity of the paper flip. That is, the wood borders themselves is also creative, of course. It's a creative touch, and the little paper flip is nice. But the main thing about this, along beyond that, is that there's no color variations. There's no team. There are no logos. There's no team color or any multicolor kind of variation. They all just have the wood borders, and so it just I would never want to collect this set, because not that I'm collecting sets, but at this point, but it's just like I would think after 6 or 7 binder pages, it would get pretty old after a while. But again, some nice cards though overall. It's just I don't have too many of them, partly because I'm just not big into the design of the set. But I did rate it, so there you go, 8th and 9th respectively between rookies and design. Next up, 1963, kind of on the other end of the spectrum here. One of the big rookies in that set is Tony Oliva. Of course, the others that are much bigger in terms of hobby impact are Pete Rose and Willie Stargell, who also have the quad cards. A couple of other examples here. Got a Don Drysdale, Carl Yastrzemski. So I rated the 63 set in terms of rookie cards. I rated it second. If I rated it second, you probably have an idea of which I rated first, which obviously will come up later. And for card design, I also rated it second. So 1963, in my view, is a strong set. It's got top shelf rookies, and a really fun, colorful design. Second on both counts for design and rookies. So there we go. Just the varying color patterns. And I try to take card backs into account too, actually. I probably should have mentioned that before. It's got a pretty nice readable card back with a nice big comic on a lot of the cards too, which makes it kind of fun. Okay, 1964. This is the one set where I hardly have, well, even 65 I don't have many either yet. I'll be buying more at some point. But 64, really, this is the only 64 card I have in my collection, and this is arguably my new favorite card in my collection. I say that with sarcasm. Warren Spahn got graded authentic evidence of trimming in my last submission video, which is a little frustrating, but there you go. 1964. Actually, I do have one other example that I don't have out because it was a rookie card, but it's I have Lou Pinella's rookie card from 64 Topps Venezuelan, actually, which I did not take out. But the rookies in this set are not strong. Phil Niekro, I believe, is the only Hall of Famer. And then you also have Lou Piniella, who potentially could get in the Hall of Fame as soon as this inducted or elected later this year. At the end of the year for potential induction next year, because his group of for committee votes is this year. And then Tommy John would be another possible Hall of Famer, maybe someday, came close to 300 wins. I'd say he has a fair chance to eventually get in just because of the longevity of his career and the impact he had on the game in terms of the rebound from what was then a kind of breakthrough surgery that's now named for him. I do think he's got a chance someday. Not an awesome chance, but a chance. But I rated the rookie class 10th. I think that's an easy ranking for that one. And for design, I rated it 7th. Not a big fan of the design. I think the one thing it does have going for it, couple things it's got going for it. The name and position are very readable, and I like how the portrait or picture comes up out of the frame. That's the main thing of this. It has a little bit of a three-dimensional effect going on there, where he's sort of coming out of the frame of the picture a little bit. So, so it does have that going for it. Card back is, they actually have comics also on 64s, and Spawn wouldn't, of course, for all the stats he has, but that's where I had 64. 10th and 7th for rookies in design. Next up, I have 1965 Topps. I have two examples to show. One of them is a rookie card. It's Steve Carlton. The other big rookie is Joe Morgan, Hall of Famer as well. And then this is actually one of my favorite cards of vintage. I've mentioned that in maybe a past video. I just love the Harmon Killebrew card. I just think it's a fantastic portrait. The colors are just balance out great, and having it in the 7's pretty nice too. 65, I have the rookies I have them ranked 6th. Actually, Carlton and Morgan, two great Hall of Famers, but there are some better rookie classes. But so I do have it in 6th, so in the middle. But design appeal, I have a number 1. I think this is I had a really a nip and tuck battle between 63 and 65 for this, and I actually switched my ranking actually just yesterday before I made this video, and I actually first did this ranking over a week ago. I revisited it, and I think this is where I think the appeal part of design, that category kind of kicks in for 65's favor. I think the 65 set has really strong appeal in the hobby. It looks fantastic, and I think one thing about it too, and I'm going to just pull a 63 card out really quick again, is that I think one part of the design appeal is that it, the overall borders work for it. The chance to have really nice examples is still, pretty, it's still out there where, you're dealing with the color block on 63. Although for this Yaz example, it's actually not bad. Probably won't grade it, but it's actually not a bad example. It's a little too off-center top. I'm assuming it's not trimmed. I bought this at NLCS, so but yeah, it's not bad. It's probably a 4, maybe. I don't think it's even a 5, so it's really not worth grading. But the bottoms are pretty nice on this one. But there's so many examples where they'll just, Drysdale's for a good example. Just they wear too easily. So, so I think that's a nice portrait. I love that portrait of him. But I think the appeal of 65 is just that much stronger overall. But so I have that for 1st in design appeal and 6th for rookies. Let's move on to 1966. Now we're going to go way over 20 minutes unless I pick it up. We've got, I'm going to show Sandy Koufax's last card. And this card here of Dick Hauser, which I've never taken the price tag off of it because I'm actually on the fence about submitting this for grading someday. I probably won't. But Dick Hauser's card is a high number of this set, and the 66 high numbers are particularly tough from what I have read and heard over the years. And this one's actually not in bad shape. I think this will grade at least a 5, and possibly even higher. So I am on the fence about grading this. Down here maybe might be tough for a 6, but the centering's pretty good. So yeah, I think a 5 or a 6 possibility if I did ever send it in. That's why I kept it in the One Touch I bought it in. Not the One Touch, the Card Saver. But the key rookies in 66, we've got Jim Palmer, Fergie Jenkins, and Don Sutton. All Hall of Famers, are all starting pitchers. But are they the biggest pitchers of the decade in terms of rookie cards? Not quite. So as a result, no hitter of the trio. I ranked them 9th of the 10, actually. Just in terms of importance to hobby, kind of factored in there. So I ranked them 9th for rookies and 5th for design. I think they're squarely in the middle. This set's grown on me a little bit in terms of design. I thought it was, growing up and when I first got into vintage, back when I was, say, a late teenager, I thought the set was boring as all get out. But I think it's grown on me. I think the use of the team name there for some cards it just frames it really nicely, and I do like the Sort of similar to 64. Easy to read name and position. So I think overall this set has grown a little bit on me. But so I gave it a pretty good rank for design and appeal, 5th. But again, that rookie class, 3 great starting pitchers, but just the overall impact I don't think is quite there in terms of that punch. So I ranked it 9th. Moving on, we are going to go to 1967. The big rookies from 67 are Tom Seaver and Rod Carew. Tom Seaver is, huge impact in the hobby. Major rookie overall. And one example I've got there is Lou Brock. Another example here I got is Phil Niekro. This set has really grown on me, even more than 66. I think this is actually quite a nice set. I think the design is really, really strong, actually, where the photos can really stand out, but yet there's some color variety in the team names and the players' name and position. Just really nice chances for some beautiful cards in this set. And I do have a couple slab, but I didn't take them out. I have a nice 67 Aaron, Hank Aaron. I got a 4, and I think that might be my only slab one actually. But I think it's a really nice set overall, and over time it has grown on me quite a bit. I love the Mickey Mantle in this set, the big kind of like close-up, face-up portrait. He's got a really nice smile on it, like in the dugout or something. That one, I'm looking to pick that mantle up. It's something I might be looking for at the National, actually, if the opportunity's right. There'll be tons of examples, of course. So I have this ranked 3rd overall in both categories. I have this 3rd in rookies and 3rd in design appeal. With Seaver, I think in particular, Carew's an awesome rookie as well, and they're both on, double rookie cards, but Tom Seaver's appeal in the hobby, I think, is pretty strong. So I think that's pretty, universally held. So I have it 3rd overall for rookies. Now we're going to move to 1968. Here are my 2 examples just to show what they are. Actually, here's a rookie card. It's Manny Sanguillen's rookie card for Pittsburgh. I'm pretty sure it's his rookie card. From Pittsburgh, had a nice long career, but obviously he's not the key rookie in the set. And I really like having the Bob Gibson 68. Just I like having cards of players, of veterans, Hall of Famers, from the years they had their awesome year. Whether it's that, and also sometimes even the year after, where you can reflect it on the back of the card. In this case, his 1.12 ERA wouldn't be here; it would be on a 69 card. But a nice one here. Considering grading this one as well, it's got a little fold issue on it or some corner wear, but I think it's a good chance for a 4. So I'm actually considering grading it. Key rookies for the set, obviously we got Nolan Ryan and Johnny Bench. Probably you could make the case that they are the two strongest rookies of the whole decade. So should be no surprise that I ranked the rookies for 1968 number 1. Design, that's another story. I have design for this in appeal 8th out of the 10. I just think lots of burlap kind of gets to you after a while, I think. Even with some color variation here, I think there have been times, some days, where I think this is the worst design of the decade. But then just thinking about it a little more, it's not quite the worst. But I think one thing it does have going for it is I really like the lettering they use for the names on this here. It's really evocative of the time period it's in. I mean, you watch you know what? I think when I see this lettering, I think of old NBC Sports TV clips. If you were to watch Super Bowl III, Jets Colts on YouTube, find videos of that. It's like the same lettering, font, typeface, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's called, but it's very evocative of the 60s, and I think that's a really cool design feature of these cards. Much more to me, that's the standout of this set more than the burlap. Although the burlap stands out in a not positive way over once you look at several dozen of them at once. But I do like the lettering on that set a lot for their names. Okay, 1969. We'll do this set, and then I'll run through my ranking overall. So 1969, I'm showing a Hank Aaron and a Matty Alou. The key rookie for 69 is Reggie Jackson. It's It's really the only big rookie in the set. And if I'm wrong on any of this stuff, just correct me. But I mostly did this from, memory and kind of knowledge and with a little bit of digging, but not too much actually, because I'm pretty sure I have the key rookies all correct on here. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. But Reggie is on a solo card at least, so he's got that going for him rather than on a double or a quad or a triple. But for rookies though, because of Reggie's star power, I gave it 7th actually. And partly because of Reggie's star power and his popularity, and that he's on a single. For design appeal, though, I only have one place left that I hadn't mentioned, although I doubt you're keeping track, but it's 10th for me. I think this is the weakest design of the 60s. Now, these two examples don't really show it, but the main thing that has, if you look at, Topps used to, if you're, into vintage cards, you've seen obviously the hundreds upon hundreds of hatless players. And I think in 1969 it was, I don't have a count of cards of which one's the worst or the most guilty of the hatless players, but for me it stands out the most in 69. I just think it's because the design itself is so, I don't say bare bones, but it's really minimal. Those hatless players look worse, like in terms of the overall card appeal, than on any other 60s set, I think. They also are guilty of using a lot of repeated shots from past sets. 1968, Hank Aaron uses the exact same photo as this. I think the one that I think is most egregious actually is 1969's Willie Mays. It's the same picture that they used from 1966 Topps, a 3-year-old photo that they reused in 1969. Now there are videos out there that talk about the issues that Topps was dealing with in the late 60s, and they just didn't have the budget like they had in past years. But so in that sense, it costs them in the ranking for at least from this ranker. The design, I think, is, and one other thing, really quick before I'll do the final ranking, because I know I'm getting close to 30 minutes here. Every team name is in yellow. Why couldn't they mix the color? I know in 67 they're multicolored at least, but 69 every team name is in yellow. So I think that also has it going, not in its favor overall in terms of design and appeal. So there you have it, 10 sets from the 60s. And now here's our final ranking. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm just going to showcase my notepad and my notes now to speed this up. Here's some of my notes up top. Here's my final ranking on the bottom. So 10th place, 1969, we had 3 sets with 5s total between, here's the points I assigned for each one and added them up. So 1969, 64, and 62 each had only 5 points. And what I did here was I looked to see which had the highest grade among the 3 in any of the either of the 2 categories. And let's see, we had 2 tiebreakers in that. So 69 had, oh no, you know what it was? I was looking for a weakest category. I think I was looking if anybody had a 10th place, and in this case 69 did. Whereas 64 and 62, let's see, 64 had, they both had 7 and 10. Okay, so what was my tiebreaker here? I'm trying to think what it was. 62 had an 8 and a 9. I probably made design appeal maybe outshine rookies, or maybe it was just personal preference. I may have just made a judgment call on that one. Made that one 10th. But 64's, maybe because of the design and appeal, like from a set standpoint, so beyond the rookies, you got to look at the whole set. Maybe that's why I did it that way. And then 62 didn't have any last place votes, so for me that made it stand out above the other 2. 7th place I had 1966 with 8 points. 6th place I had 1960 with 12 points. 61 came in 5th with 13. 1968's also had 13. But the thing with 68, why I ranked it ahead of 61, is because 68 had a first place overall. So to me, that was an easy tiebreaker there, whereas 61 had 2 kind of middle range votes. So 68 stands out over 61. And then here's where I think is maybe a big surprise. 1965, to me, in terms of best sets of the 60s, ranks 3rd. Now, a lot of people might say it's 1st, But I have it third because of the rookie. The rookies are good, Carlton and Morgan, but their 67 and 63s are, I think, arguably better. And so, this is where it sort of gets to taste in terms of where your design, what you like. But I have it first in design, but I only had it sixth in rookies. So it ended up with 15 points. And that was actually after giving it an extra point when I gave it over a 63 in the design category. I switched it. 67 came just in second for me here, just over 65. We did go over 30 minutes here. And I'm probably not going to redo this, so this is what it is. If you're staying with me here, I appreciate it. First place, I had 1963 overall with 18 points, with 2 9s. Second place in rookies, second place in design. So to me, for this one person's opinion, 1963 Topps is the best set of the 1960s. When you factor in both rookies, and I'm definitely not 64. 63. I have another 63. What do I do with it? Because it's not the best example with a quad card. Here we go. Yeah, 63 to me is the best set of the 60s. And I tried to be fair in terms of just weighing those categories. But, a little bit of subjectivity gets in the way, of course. It's a ranking. 65, of course, just a beautiful set. And if I can find those cards again here. 65, a very strong second. So really, you can't go wrong. If you're into these two sets, as you well know, you can't go wrong with these. But I do think, and I would be curious on your comments if you think 67 is, has it always been up there, or is it kind of a recent gainer in terms of popularity? I want to put 1967 on the medal stand too. 67 is a really, really nice set. I just think it's got a lot going for it. So there you have it. There are what I think are the best sets of the 1960s. This video went quite long, as they usually do. But if you followed along somewhat, I appreciate it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great weekend.